Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we've got some football to talk about today. And today, I've got a very special guest joining me for his second appearance this year on the Wake and Take. John Laub, you've been reading all of his articles on PlayerProfiler and seeing all of his Devy stuff all over Twitter, doing some fantastic work. Excited to bring him on today to get some of his takes on some of the trending topics and other things to expect for 2024 and beyond. So go ahead, take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. John, how's it going?
Hey, it's fantastic, man. School's almost over in the north, so I'm pretty excited for the summer. And, I know I do mostly rookie and Devy stuff when I publish. But, it's funny. I've been playing fantasy football for 34 years in basically every style. So I love this time of the year because about 2 weeks ago, I did my rankings, right? Like, what am I, if I was doing the best ball on a different site, what am I going to do if I'm in a league where I have to draft? So I love this time of the year. It's just regular fantasy football for me. So glad to be here on Wake and Take.
Yeah, man. I mean, you can't play Devy without playing regular fantasy football. Like, you've already had the gateway drug to end up there, right?
Yes.
So that is, of course, something we're going to be discussing today as you've been writing some awesome Devy articles for PlayerProfiler and, of course, other places as well. But I also want to get your takes on some of the stuff going on. So we'll go ahead and jump right into some of the trending topics around the league. And we'll just start with the big one right now. What are your thoughts on this Brandon Ayuk situation?
It's clearly a ploy from him and his agent to get a contract extension and or more money, probably both. The players, once they sign a contract, their leverage is not as much as it is during free agency. One of the ways they have leverage is public opinion, and to begin getting the organization and fans and thinking about how much is this player worth? Can we be successful without him? So I've seen this all the way since Eric Dickerson in the 1980s wanted to get out of Los Angeles with the Rams, and he ended up with the Colts. I've seen this play out. It's successful for the big athletes, the stars. My question is, Jason, is Brandon Ayuk really a star? He is a very, very good wide receiver. The 49ers are better with him on the field. Yeah. But does the casual fan say to themselves, Brandon Ayuk is in that top 6. He is worthy of that massive contract. Look at Justin Jefferson. I didn't hear too much pushback. He signed earlier this week, right, for the multi-million-dollar wide receiver. And everyone seems to be comfortable with it because we know Jefferson's a star.
Right.
I'm not sure Ayuk is in that bucket. Obviously, him and his agents believe that. But can he turn public opinion in his favor? Or is he trying to pull this Stephon Diggs? When Stephon Diggs got out of Minnesota, he's kind of forced his way out of Buffalo. Mm-hmm. I don't know enough about Ayuk. We'll see this play out. I just question, is he an actual star who can get that money like Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, I really don't think he's a star deserving Justin Jefferson money. I think he's a very good wide receiver. We saw it last year, 1,300 yards off of like barely over 100 targets, like a very, very efficient season. But every NFL team is going to ask themselves, is it Brandon Ayuk or is it the Shanahan system that's producing a ton of different people and stars and all this stuff? And you ask the question, if the casual fan would even think that Brandon Ayuk is a top 6 receiver, if you ask the casual fan to name 49ers players, he's named, like, he's not up there. Like, he isn't. They would probably go Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle before they got to Brandon Ayuk, even if he was
Joey Bosa
last season.
Right?
Joey Bosa, just go the defensive side on the ball, over there. And then it's a whole nother question. Travarius Ward, maybe even that might not be a casual fan, but still the point remains that there's just so many studs on this 49ers offense that the 49ers are asking themselves, how much money is he worth? Can we replace him with Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing? And that's really what's going to have to come to it. They've done the 5-year or the 5th-year option with him. He hasn't officially signed it. We just talked about yesterday's Wake and Take episode. Since he's still on his rookie contract, teams can waive any of the fines for not showing up here at the mandatory camp. So it's not that big of a deal for that. So I agree with you. We'll have to see how much the 49ers believe he's worth, and if he's really even worth it. And I really don't think he is worth this big, massive money. I really don't.
I tend to agree with you. I'll say that. I tend to agree with you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I guess I'll ask this simply then. Would you be buying Brandon Ayuk in really any fantasy format, like at his current price?
No, because the outcome and the range of outcomes are too varied right now. Right. Is he going to be in San Francisco next year? What if he holds out for a while? He's missing the OTA, so would he be able to pick up another playbook of another organization and get the simpatico with the quarterback and the offensive coordinator that he has in San Francisco right now? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I'm trading him, but I do think I'm definitely not going to acquire him because there's too many red flags here for me. I do think he's a very good fantasy player, but what if he ends up, I don't know. What if he ends up in Las Vegas, right? Like, is that really the place you'd want him to go with all those weapons? I don't know. Like, there's just so many outcomes that I would not be happy with, and I'm not going to embrace that risk.
Yeah, I'm with you step for step there. We had Memphis on a couple days ago, and he's kind of on the side where, and I think I'm with him that they kind of get the band together this season just because they can. But we'll see. I mean, they just extended Christian McCaffrey. They're bringing in Logan Thomas reportedly. Like, eventually they're going to run out of money, and we'll see. It's a very interesting situation that we'll continue to talk about here on Wake and Take. As we talk about someone skipping out on these camps, why don't we talk about the camps? There's a lot of hype boiling up for a lot of different players. I'll go a few players. I'll let you answer. If you're kind of buying into it or not. And we'll start with one of my guys, Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams has been getting rave reviews from the head coach, and then is also performing well in camps, reportedly from yesterday. Had a great couple catches with Jared Goff. So are you buying into this Jameson Williams hype?
I am not yet. And I've done this dance many a day. So this is going to be my old man curmudgeonly self coming through right now, where I kind of understand coach speak. We are 2 months away from camp kind of opening, I guess late July, right? So let's say 6 weeks. If you're a head coach and the organization spent the first round pick on Jameson Williams at this point, you obviously want to keep him motivated and make him feel good, a part of the organization. You want him to arrive in camp in a positive manner. Mm-hmm. But, my friend, then I go to the numbers. Is he the fourth option in the passing game? Amon Ross St. Brown is number 1. Mm-hmm. I will assume Sam Laporta is number 2. Then you have Jahmyr Gibbs. Jason, are you going to give Jahmyr Gibbs 100 targets, or are you going to give Jameson Williams 100 targets?
I think both can get there. I really do. I think both can get there, but I mean, at this point of time, I guess I would probably expect more usage to go to Jahmyr Gibbs in the passing game as things stand. But, I'm not going to lie. I'm a big Jameson Williams fan. I really do kind of expect a big year from him and think the volume can be there. But I do he's at the very least, he could be the third passing option.
Yes.
At the very least, he's the fourth option. I'll agree with you there. But
then I chase targets.
Right.
So what is his ceiling? 80?
I think he can get to 100. Josh Reynolds is leaving. I think Josh Reynolds is leaving over 60.
Okay.
Or hold on. Let me get you the exact number. How much Josh Reynolds is leaving behind?
who I did very well with Josh Reynolds in DFS last year. He made me a bunch of money on my weekly lineups. He was a good, when you knew he was going to start, he was a good option at times.
Yeah. When the injuries fell his way and everything, he had 64 targets, brought in 4 of them for 600 yards and 5 touchdowns. So that's not, 64 targets becoming available, maybe, but we'll see.
So I'm just going to be, I'm a volume hog in general, and I would rather bet on volume than efficiency. Now, he might be uber efficient. I'm not going to discount he could have 50 receptions for 700 yards and 5 or 6 touchdowns, but that would probably come in chunks, right? 2 or 3 huge games, 1 or 2 busts in a row, right? That's where I would look at Jameson Williams.
Sounds like you'll be targeting him in best ball, maybe.
Yes. I do think he has a bet. Yes, I agree with that.
Let's go. Cool. We get a little bit of a win, everyone. We'll move on to Christian Watson, another player that has shown massive ceiling, but has had a little bit of an injury concern. Reports are coming out that he has solved the injury concerns. Something with his hamstrings being distributed funkily, and he's working on fixing it. Are you buying into it?
I can't. Not at the current price. And here's why. I was reading about the hamstrings, and one is allegedly weaker than the other, right? So they're trying to strengthen the 2 of them, which I'm no doctor, so I'm not going to try to say I know. But that probably doesn't sound very good for a speed demon wide receiver. But let's put that aside for a second. There is so much talent in the passing game in Green Bay with Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks. We have the double tight ends with Kraft and Musgrave. We have talent in the passing game. I question what Watson can do, and I was a big fan. I was taking him in the 5th round last year, so I'm a Watson guy. But right now, I think I'm going to go where the value is. So I'm probably going to bypass him for another out. What I tend to do is the cheapest asset in a high-powered passing game with a quarterback. So if Watson goes off the board first, I'm not going to be taking him. I'll go get Jaden Reed or Dontavian Wicks at a lesser draft pick.
Yeah, I don't know. He is going now after Jaden Reed at least. So I am a big Christian Watson guy, so I just can't quit him yet. What I like to say is you're injury prone until you're not. We've been burned by a ton of different players that are just so athletic that were injury prone to begin their career and figured it out. So I'm going to buy into him. I like that passing offense a lot. And if that player hits, like if he can just stay healthy for even like 4 more games than he has been, then that's just a really, really special fantasy asset. I can't quit him. I'm buying into him at least one more time. One more time. We'll see. But if we hear more hamstring issues like through the preseason or something, it's just we're gonna have to look ourselves in the face and be like, okay, maybe it is Dontavian Wicks, and maybe even it's damn Bo Melton season.
Yeah, Bo Melton was good at Rutgers. Interesting player, but
yeah. So we'll segue from Bo Melton. So we'll just do one more player, building up some camp hype. I asked you to talk about this player late, so if you're not ready for it, I get it. But Ryan Flournoy, ladies and gentlemen, as the official camp hype. I have not heard anything yet, but yesterday a tweet hit my timeline where the voice of the star, Patrick Walker, has come out and said, I'm going to go ahead and say I believe Ryan Flournoy is going to turn heads in Oxnard. The plays he's making thus far largely hint at it. Today, a back pylon grab for a touchdown was at the height of his vertical, and the cornerback never stood a chance despite being glued to him on the jump. Flournoy elevated and snatched at the high point after a crisp route, then battled his own momentum by contorting on the way down to get both toes tapped inbounds. I expect him to make some waves. This has been easily my biggest flag plant all offseason since I had the pleasure of watching him at the Senior Bowl. Have you heard, seen, or have any thoughts on Ryan Flournoy so the audience can maybe get a competing opinion or a maybe even a confirming opinion? We need to hear someone else's take on this guy.
I've been paying attention to his name since December. He popped up on my radar early in the draft process. If someone doesn't know, he's from southern eastern Missouri. So he's outside of the power 4. He's even outside of the FBS. But when I plugged him in my model, Jason, there were very illuminating aspects of his game I liked. 6'1", 200. Hey, NFL size. 37% aerial dominator in my model. Love that. Lower level competition. So I always factor that in, right? Then he ended up going in the 40-yard dash. 4.44, my friend.
I know.
Hey, at that size, he's got the athleticism. So my radar said, hey, he's a very interesting prospect.
Okay.
He lands in Dallas. All I need is one organization said that they see value in him. So then I say to myself, I immediately go to the depth chart. Okay, we know he's not CeeDee Lamb, that he's never going to be better. Okay, that's all right. I get it. Brandon Cooks is getting up in age. And Jalen Tolbert has not shown us that he's really, really valuable yet, right? So what I say to myself, in dynasty leagues, he's got to be drafted. I'm buying the hype. You should sit on him because his pathway to targets is not that difficult 2 years or a year or 2 years from now. And Jason, this is what I'll watch in the training camp, specifically preseason games. Is he catching passes from Dak Prescott? If he's only lining up with backup quarterbacks, I will say I'm a little, he's a rookie. If he's actually getting snaps in preseason or lining up in the rotations with Dak, then I feel confident that the Cowboys need him to be ready for an injury or to get on the field. So he's one of those players I'm going to watch incredibly closely in training camp.
Okay. That's all I need to hear. I totally get it. I am finding myself that I'm generally a little early on people, which is fine. So maybe it could take a year. I mean, I'm even finding myself believing that maybe he'll take the wide receiver 2 role this season. Maybe I'm just getting a little too excited about this prospect, but it sounds like he's sounding some bells in your head. Checking a lot of boxes. And that's what we're hearing from everyone that really does keep digging into this guy's profile. I'm very, very much into him. Very excited to see what could happen. So we'll move on from camp. Lots of topics to still discuss here. We'll get the last little bit of a trending topic here, and it's Justin Jefferson's contract. But I just want to get some more takes on J.J. McCarthy. Are you buying into him as a Viking now, and just in general, really? I see some Michigan Wolverine helmets. So,
so I want to put aside my fandom, and I tried all off season, even last summer, not to get too hyped about McCarthy because I watched too much Michigan tape, and I saw the flashes of brilliance. Mm-hmm. After the season ended, I went back to watch tape in December. I was like, holy crap. So my film study says, put aside the volume, the young man can play football. And I've said this, I'm almost 60, Jason, so let's just leave it there. Too close to 60 this summer.
Wow. I'm just going to say, you look very great for 60. You're very handsome.
Yeah, thank you. The bones sometimes not so much, but thank you. So if McCarthy hits his ceiling, and it might be a 5% chance, there's John Elway in him.
Okay.
He has John Elway traits.
Okay.
Is it likely? No. But he landed in the ideal spot.
He really did.
I like the coaching staff. I like the creativity of the offense. He learned under a very hard coach. Harbaugh has some challenges. But I'll say this. If you make it through Harbaugh, you probably can make it through the challenges of the NFL. Harbaugh's old school. He's tough. Yeah. He's going to criticize you. He's going to be tough on you. He expects a lot out of you.
He took the music away from the Chargers camp.
Yep.
He's a fun.
And, I've read enough coaching books, and I grew up in a different generation. I'm sure Harbaugh has kind words behind closed doors, and if you don't know my sarcasm, you need to understand. He says things that are not publicly available to people behind closed doors, especially his quarterback. So I think he's mentally and athletically ready for the NFL. Now, experience matters. There's no question. But Jason, look at the talent around him.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. They have a running game. It's a really nice landing spot. Do I think in 2 years he could be a top 12? Possibly, but I definitely like him as a 10 to 15 range fantasy quarterback. Because I don't know if people realize he's going to get 300 to 400 yards rushing, Jason. He has legs, and he can score like 4 or 5 rushing touchdowns, like a little, maybe Justin Herbert-ish, right? We love that bonus with Herbert on the ground. JJ McCarthy can do that.
Yeah, no, I have been honestly asking myself every time I look at JJ McCarthy and the potential to get him, is it's like I just have the little voice in my head that it's just too good to be true. You know, like everything is lining up perfectly, down to also being a Michigan fan. It just sounds too exciting for me. But it's just you can't go away from it just because it's checking your boxes. You know, yes, the volume is a concern, but you know, we'll see. We'll see. I think it's you can't ask for a better situation.
No.
So I'm also buying into JJ McCarthy everywhere I can. So that is our trending topics. Now it's time to get some takes from you, John. And we'll start with the Devy space. So we've talked that you're working on it. We've gotten your takes on some rookies even. Now let's go ahead and just sell us on Devy maybe, because I myself am not playing it. But then also maybe give us one player that we should go ahead and start focusing on and that we'll be seeing in our first rounds next season.
So first, give yourself a shot at playing in a Devy league. Jason, you don't have to go crazy. I try to tell people you can grow into a league format. I started in 1989. We weren't playing PPR. I did it with the newspaper and a pencil. So I've seen a lot of changes.
Right.
You can start a Devy league, and I love the draft. I'm sure you do too. Isn't that part of the thrill of this? Like hanging out, talking smack, just drafting like that sweat. Is my guy going to make it to number 7? Like we've all been there, right? Or you're targeting someone in the 3rd round and they get drafted. A Devy league is another draft. That's part that I like. You can draft 2 or 4 players who are in college. No high school players are allowed. You cannot draft a high school player. So that's the first thing you want college players. You can draft freshmen right now coming in. What I recommend is you take it easy. You draft 2 to 4 college players, and they sit on a roster, a taxi squad. It's a taxi squad. I do it on Fantrax. So you put them on your taxi squad. It's cool because they're the only site with the database that you can combine college and NFL. So you have a 12-team league. We drafted 48 college players from last year. They sat on our taxi squads. Now, the good point is it forces you to watch these players throughout the fall, Jason. Now, I got extremely lucky because I was doing it for charity. I do all my leagues now that I do for charity. I'm at a certain age where I want to help other people. So in my league, I play with guys. Here are my 3 Devy picks that I had last year from pick number 8. Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze,
nice,
and Trey Benson. So I was able. Now, here's what I love about the league that I started. You can only promote 2 players a year, and everyone else you have to throw back into the rookie pool.
Okay. So
I kept Neighbors and Odunze, and then I threw Trey Benson back in the rookie pool, which makes it valuable to other managers who, like, I didn't finish in last. So the people who finished in the bottom 3 had a chance if they wanted to draft Trey Benson.
Yeah.
But it keeps the player pool moving. It forces you to know before the season kicks off, Jason, who are the top prospects. Now, to make it even more for our viewers on PlayerProfiler, if you go right now, there are 3 articles up that I've written in the last month about Devy, and they give you hints and they allow you to put together a Devy roster if you so choose. I have the top 24 players highlighted with profiles, so you can read about them. there is a ranking. I have over 100 Devy players ranked, Jason, in a Devy model. So you can go right away and look at the Devy model. You say, hey, who are the top running backs in next year's class? Well, Laub says boom, boom, boom. I'll give you the top 2 right now, first round grades. Ironically, Jason, you're not going to like this. I don't like it. They both play at Ohio State.
No!
Henderson and Quinshon Junkins, who came from Mississippi, now at Ohio State. They both play at Ohio State, and they are incredible prospects, first-round grades. You can go check that out. So you can watch, if you draft one of them, you can watch all year. Mm-hmm. It is an awesome game. It is fun. I use it because I do summer scouting. So I've already watched on the Devy list. I probably watched 30 players already on film. Then I'm going to spend the rest of the summer watching another 30 to 40 players, and I'm going to go back and watch again some of the top players because I really like to – I'm a teacher. I have the time off. Go get some rankings, everyone. Go draft some players, and then read the opening file. Like, I have some really interesting hints, like how do you tell if you should draft a Devy player? So I got to get the right article in here. Why can I not? Aha. So if you go down here, oh, that's a different, sorry, I'm missing something for a second. It has stats like of the top 12 running backs, 4 of them had 5-star high school recruits. Another 5 of them were 4-star high school recruits. So it kind of shows you when you're analyzing players, high school doesn't necessarily matter, but what was their athleticism coming into college like? Where did they get recruited to? There's 2 things that I've paid a lot of attention to in Devy. Power 4 matters, Jason. And what I mean by now it's the Power 4, it used to be the Power 5, but we're looking at the Big 10, the Big 12, the ACC, and of course the SEC. If you go to those schools and you get drafted from those programs, your success at the NFL, Jason, is astronomical from a fantasy perspective. It's just the sad truth reality. Yeah. Yes, there are players who come from non-Power 4 programs, but the odds are there. You can go see my link in the article. It can show you how difficult it is for a non-Power 4 player to be a fantasy asset. The other thing at running back, I've done the stats for the last 4 years. If you weigh less than 200 pounds, Jason, it's about a 15% chance, I think, that you will have a top 24 NFL fantasy season. It's not the end all and be all, but over the last 4 years. And Jason, do you really consider running back 20 a valuable player? Is he really a valuable difference maker?
No, I mean, it helps to have, right? Like, obviously, you don't complain about it, but you don't want that to be your main running back.
You don't want that your main running back.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at these things, and I use it for Devy, I'm going to draft players, running backs, who are over 200 pounds and from Power 4 programs. Because in the long run, the odds are in your favor. That's why I took Trey Benson in the 3rd round. I liked him last summer. I think he was my number 2 pre-draft running or preseason running back because of the size, speed combo at Florida State. Hey, you're looking for a model of a player who's going to have NFL success, right? Obviously, the film matters. I like certain non-Power 4 players, but they're going to be 3rd-round Devy picks. They're going to be 4th-round Devy picks, right? Because it gives you a longer time. Jason, the game is fun. You asked me about Ryan Flournoy. Hey, I heard about him because of college fantasy football, Devy, and the draft. Like, it just all fits together. Give Devy a try. There's so much information, and we have a ton on our website, everyone.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. And it sounds like, I'm gonna lean into one bit there. Sounds like we need to be drafting Jalen Wright.
I love Jay. I've got him in already 3 of 3 dynasty leagues.
So there you go, guys. There's 2 things there. A, Devon Achane under 200 pounds. Jalen Wright over 200 pounds. Power 4, which feels so weird to say. And I gotta commend you.
I'm having a hard.
You crushed it though every time. Power 4. It was a clean sheet. That was nice.
Thank you.
Well, audience, go find yourself a Devy League. Look out for those Ohio State players. Please don't tell me Emeka Egbuka is number 3.
Ooh, what do I have at wide receiver? I'll tell you right now. Click the link.
Please don't tell me.
I have him at number 2. He's a number 2 wide receiver coming out. Now, there's a lot of people like Luther Burden over him. I just like Egbuka. I think he's very talented. Mm-hmm. But I will say this. His volume stats are not going to be your typical Ohio State, because they're going to run the football a lot with those 2 running backs. I don't think people are ready to understand the philosophical change that the Buckeyes are going through, everyone. They hired Chip Kelly, and look at what Chip Kelly did at Oregon and at UCLA. You know what he does, Jason? He runs the football. Yeah. They have the 2 most talented runners in the nation. They're going to run the football, Ohio State.
Wow. We'll see. That doesn't bode well for Michigan, but whatever. We've had a fun few seasons.
Yeah. I've been very happy. So yes, we'll move.
All right. So before we move on to some NFL takes, I'll give you one last chance to at least talk about some rookies here. And I want you to go ahead and flag plant. Give us your rookie flag plant, and hopefully it wasn't Jalen Wright. Or maybe
no, it wasn't Jalen Wright. Hey, I'm even getting more all in. It's Kamani Vidal, the Chargers. Jason, I'm trying not to beat a drum, but it's hard to tell. I'm so in the industry. Is it just because I hear about them and outsiders don't? How is this happening? I go to our great site, PlayerProfiler. His ranking in Dynasty right now is 47 coming off the board. Are you kidding me? His season ranking is 56, and these are at running back only. 56! Underdog, 159th overall? What is happening, my friends? Harbaugh and Roman are running the football. What do you not understand? What do you not understand? That's all they've done together. They run the football, they run the football, they run the football. Kamani Vidal is over 200 pounds. Bingo. Mm-hmm. I love the tape. And I'm sorry, Jason. Gus Edwards is just the guy. They brought in Gus Edwards, depth at the position. He knows the system. Roman's familiar with them. It's that Bill Parcells, I'm bringing in my guys. That's all he is. And I'm sorry. I was a huge J.K. Dobbins fans coming out. Jason, the injuries have taken their toll. I have no confidence. I'm going depth chart and system. It screams in your face. Kamani Vidal is going to get 200 carries. He can pass protect. Guys, watch the film. He bullies blitzers, and he can catch the football. It is screaming Kamani Vidal in Los Angeles for the Chargers.
I love it. It's Maurice Jones-Drew, part 2. One of my favorite running backs growing up, and the fun fact about Kamani Vidal and just this conversation in general, I'm pretty sure that we talked about Kamani Vidal on the last episode before the NFL draft. This is a player we both very much agree on, but you especially have been crushing the film and just everything when it comes to this prospect, and then he just gets the incredible landing spot. I mean, we saw Blake Corum in Michigan with Jim Harbaugh. I mean, Kamani Vidal is Blake Corum juiced up even. So it's just, I'm very, very excited for this player. Been getting him where I could. It's still kind of hard, but, in rookie drafts at least. In rookie drafts, people are kind of keen. We're all in the dynasty street. But
I agree.
But we're scooping him in the best ball right now. It is, and they're going to be in redraft leagues. It's just lining up perfectly. Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins maybe could start the season hot, and then he might take some time. But I mean, by week probably 4, even I would expect it all to just show us who he is. And so yeah, get him while you can, guys. I think he's like even still like a late 2nd, early 3rd round rookie pick, so not too hard to get. But we'll see. Gonna be awesome. Love the call. Great rookie flag plant. Let's stick. Well, we're not sticking with rookies. We're just going to go into the NFL teams. And I want to hear who's an undervalued offense. Who's sneaking up on us this year?
The Tennessee Titans. I'm just going to go straight out. I can't believe it is so obvious right under our noses and people aren't talking about it. Last year. And I love these values. Total offense, number 28 in the NFL at 289 yards per game. So people are ignoring them. They scored 17.9 points per game, which was 27th overall. What do the Titans do? Clean house, Jason. Clean house. Let's get these guys out of here. New coaching staff. Head coach Brian Callahan. My friends, for the past 5 seasons, he was the offensive coordinator at Cincinnati, coached up Joe Burrow. We're going. Oh, did anyone remember that Derrick Henry's no longer on the team? So you clean house of Rabel and Henry, and you bring in a guy who coached Joe, our hero Joe.
Yeah.
Then, who did he hire? Nick Holtz from Jacksonville. The Jaguars ranked 9th in the NFL in passing last year. Everyone said Trevor Lawrence is bad. I think he disappointed, but they still ranked 9th in the NFL and 13th in points scored. Jason, the Titans are going to throw the football. They're going to throw the football. Here's what I love even more. Look at this division, the AFC South. They played 2 games with Houston. Do you know a guy named CJ Stroud, everyone? 2 games against Lawrence in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. And everyone's love child, Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. We are steering down the barrel of 6 shootouts immediately on the schedule. Yeah. Here's why I like them even more, Jason. They're free, literally free. Will Levis, PPR seasonal ranking. We have him at 31. Okay. Underdog, round 15, selection 8, 176 overall. Jason, he is the darling number 3 running back. That is a no-brainer for your third quarterback. Third quarterback. Yeah. Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah. And why did they sign Tyler Boyd? He knows Brian Callahan's system. He's going to play the slot. Give me Calvin Ridley all day in round 6, pick 2. And here's where I'm going. I love this. Tajay Spears, round 10, pick 8, on underdog, 116th overall. And you know why I love him? He's a pass catcher. Yeah. Jason, one of the sneaky options in fantasy best ball is a quarterback pass catching running back. We don't talk about it enough, and it's hard to get. But if you get that pass catcher who can have 50 to 60 receptions, score 5 or 6 touchdowns, and I don't have to predict the game, give me that all day. And here's how old I am. I learned it with Steve Young and Ricky Waters in 1994, were absolute fantasy gold as the running back quarterback duo. They were super studs. And go look back at Thurman Thomas and Jim Kelly as a running back quarterback duo. You can sneakily invest in Will Levis, Tajay Spears, and Calvin Ridley, and you could get some real nice value. I love these Titans right now.
Yeah, it's incredible. I would say that honestly, both Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, both of them. Really, they're really going about the same time, and I really think they're interchangeable. That's what Callahan has even come out and said, and it's just awesome. I'm with you. It's 100%. Awesome. In these Superflex underdog drafts, Underdog released a Superflex tournament finally this week. Will Levis is going like so late. Like I keep getting people, it's new, so people are like really reaching for quarterbacks,
Okay.
but not Will Levis. And that's what I keep getting priced out of my second quarterback. I think I have 100% exposure to Will Levis right now. He keeps falling in my lap. But then it's awesome because DeAndre Hopkins is usually still sitting there. Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears are usually still sitting there if I can get one of them. So it works out perfectly. It's a great offense to target. And I mentioned Memphis was on 2 days ago. He said the same offense. So it sounds like everyone is there right now. The Sharps are ready for the Tennessee Titans to take over. Capitalize while you still can. All of them. Really. It's just so cheap. You mentioned Tyler Boyd. That is exactly what I've been saying too. Just get Tyler Boyd. Just swallow it. Just get him. It doesn't matter. It sounds so disgusting. Right?
It does, but he's going to produce.
He's going to have like,
He's going
to have like 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. Like it'll be fine. Like you're not happy or you're not like excited about it, but you're happy that he's still on your roster. When somebody gets hurt and you need a little fill in. You've got Tyler Boyd sitting there just as he was in Cincinnati. So I love that call. We'll leave from sleeper offenses to just sleepers. What's a player we're sleeping on?
Right now, I think it's Chase Brown of the Bengals. My friends, it's just the depth chart screams that Chase Brown is going to be given an opportunity. Right now on Player Profiler, our ranking in Dynasty is number 37. I love that.
Yeah.
Our seasonal ranking is number 35. So we have him a little higher in seasonal. But on Underdog, he's going off at 120 right now, ADP. I will literally gobble that up all day long. He's proven to us now. I know it's a small sample, so I completely understand that. But he's proven to us that he can be successful at the NFL level. He got opportunity last year. I'm not overly confident in Zach Moss, my friends.
No.
I mean, he's a good player, but like, do I believe Zach Moss is going to have 220 carries this year? No. I think Chase Brown is a better pass catcher also. I love the value of Chase Brown. If you're going like 4 or 5 receivers early or 4 receivers and a quarterback, Chase Brown is the idea. Second or third running back. I love it.
I am not going to lie. I have not been confident enough in my Chase Brown targeting. I've been picking him up where I can. And I'm with you step for step, though. I mean, the athleticism is just so hard to deny. And we saw the explosion last year. He housed like a 70-yard screen, and like it was everyone's favorite waiver wire pickup. He's only 24 years old. He crosses that 200 pounds. He runs a 4.43 40. He has the 87th percentile bench press as well, so he's fast and strong. So and the 93rd percentile college dominator at Player Profiler as well. So, and
he was unbelievable at Illinois.
He was incredible. That's a Big Ten running back. That usually is something we target. It means something. So I think I'm going to be, you have made me become more confident. I'm going to go try to pick him up in Dynasty as well, because I'm with you. I don't believe in Zach Moss either. I haven't fully done it. I've been doing it every once in a while, but Zach Moss is going before Chase Brown in these underdog drafts. And I just think I think it's silly. I know that he had a pretty solid season for the Colts last year, but this is a guy who was already on the organization. They drafted Chase Brown despite having an athletic running back in Chris Evans and Travion Williamson or whatever his name is.
That's right.
And they still wanted another one. And he proved himself. He even kept Joe Mixon off the field a little bit last season. So, yeah, I like that call. That's a really, really good sleeper. Great job on the Chase Brown call. We will now move on to some buys and sells. What's a player you're buying right now?
My number one buy, and I like to go a little deep. I don't know if I love Zay Flowers, and I think he's being overlooked here. His dynasty ranking is wide receiver 20. So, and I think he is the perfect number 2 wide receiver on a dynasty team. I mean, ideally he'd be superior at your number 3, but a very nice number 2. Seasonal ranking, and we have him on Player Profiler at number 34. Oh my God, I'll tell you this right now, Jason. If he's sitting there right now in a seasonal draft, I will probably have 100% exposure to Zay Flowers if he's like the 30th wide receiver off the board. No question. A little pricey and underdog. 37th overall, 4th round pick one, but I'm okay with that. But man, in a dynasty league, I'm going to buy Zay Flowers as often as I can. I'm going to even tell you a better reason why in a second after I do my sell. My number one sell, and these are interrelated. I'll explain it in a minute. Kenneth Walker of the Seahawks.
No.
There's too much depth chart competition, and there's a new coach in town. We don't 100% know what's going to happen in Seattle. We think we do, and I think we have a good idea. But you have Zach Charbonnet back there too. Walker is going off in our dynasty rankings on PlayerProfiler. He is number 12. That means I can still get a lot for Kenneth Walker in the dynasty trade. So I want to trade a guy I can bring in Pirates booty for. That's how I look at it. What can I get? Because sometimes to make a good trade, you have to make it hurt a little, right? Like, hey, I don't want to give up Walker, but that's how you get the Pirates booty. Mm-hmm. In our seasonal rankings, he's number 18, which tells me there's a disconnect here, Jason. If he's number 12 in Dynasty, why is he so low in redraft? Because people are afraid of Zach Charbonnet. So when I see this gap, bye-bye. He's too expensive in underdog at 64 overall. And here's why these are interrelated, Jason. Right now, if you ask me about the 2025 NFL draft, the running back class is loaded, Jason. Loaded. Let me repeat it. The running back class right now in college is 7 or 8 deep. The wide receiver class is thin. What I want to do, I want to acquire young wide receivers now on Dynasty and unload my valuable running backs who will give me a first-round Dynasty pick. So get rid of Kenneth Walker for a first-round Dynasty next year when there's probably going to be 4 or 5 running backs taken in the first round. Give me 2 of them. And then Zay Flowers, I'm going to have for the next 4 years because he's attached to Lamar Jackson. And when you look at the depth chart in Baltimore, he's their number one guy, in my opinion. I know you got Mark Andrews, but he's past his prime, I think. So I'm going to buy Zay Flowers and get rid of Kenneth Walker.
I'll start with Zay Flowers. I will say that generally when it comes to my dynasty acquisitions, I like to buy low, and I don't necessarily feel Zay Flowers is there. He's a player I like to say is valued right. Like I'm not upset.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I don't mind it. Like I think if I have him, I'm definitely holding him, not outwardly looking to sell him unless a really nice offer goes on the table. So I'll leave it at that. I get it. I'll ask really quickly. Do you believe in Tez Walker? You've been doing lots of film. I've been kind of scooping him up. I think he can earn that deep threat role on the Ravens.
That's what he is. I think he's a one-dimensional deep threat who helps. Unfortunately, I think he helps your offense and scheme more than he actually helps fantasy-wise because he's going to be able to take the top and threaten the safeties. And that's a very important role. Flowers is, to me, the type of receiver who's going to get 120 targets on a consistent basis, and that's why I like him.
Okay. All right. I'm with you then. I think if you can get him for the right price, we're all in. I can't sell Kenneth Walker though. I just can't do it. I do think that I think that the Seahawks would probably I can't. I really firmly believe in this prospect and player. He was just last year, literally going into last season, he was the dynasty running back 1. And I mean, we're Michigan fans. What did Zach Charbonnet do? He couldn't beat out Hassan Haskins, so he transferred to UCLA. Right? So I can't believe in Zach Charbonnet. We saw last year that Zach Charbonnet actually didn't have a single game with more than 10 touches when Kenneth Walker had even 50% of the snaps. So I think that this new coaching staff, one head coach Mike McDonald, defensive coordinator. So I think that he's probably going to be a bit old school, although there is a bit of a disconnect with Ryan Grubb because he's a bit past happy. So I don't know where I'm at with it. I think I'm expecting leaning on Kenneth Walker, opening up the play action a bit and, just having a solid run game. I think when there's a new coaching staff coming in, they'll look at these two athletes, Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, and just see a completely different one. I really do just think that Kenneth Walker is one of those running backs and athletes that's just a whole different class of player that I can't give up on that player, even if the next class is strong and Zach Charbonnet is a good enough athlete. I think that Kenneth Walker really does still have bell cow potential in him on a decent enough offense. So I can't do it. I get it with anyone, right? Anyone is a sellable asset if you get the right haul. So if it's there, if it's right for the taking, I guess it's fine. But
Jason, we would be a perfect match if we were in a league together. Because if I had Walker, I'd be like, Jason, go ahead, let's go, let's make it happen.
I would 100%. I'm telling this to the audience. I don't even know if it's an even trade or not. But if I had Zay Flowers, I would give him to you for Kenneth Walker. That's where I'm at.
I would do that. I would do that right now.
We just had a virtual trade. Here's a little handshake. Cool. Well, that was fun. So I think they're both good buys and sells. At the end of the day, the process is of course there, and that's what matters most. If you can get the right return or get them for the right price, that's what fantasy football is all about. So, John, I ask you to leave the audience with a hot take for this upcoming season.
I love this one, and I hope our audience, I'm amazed at where he's going in drafts right now. But Zamir White of the Raiders is going to lead the AFC in rushing with over 1,350 yards and 12 touchdowns. I am 100% in. His PPR ranking in Dynasty is 34. His PPR ranking in seasonal is 33. So there we have, not like Kenneth Walker, we have the exact same. So we like him. I love him. We like him at PlayerProfiler. Underdog, 85 overall, round 8, pick 1. Are you kidding me? He is the perfect running back for the ceiling. I think he's very good. Now, my film, I liked him in Oakland. I liked him in Las Vegas last year. But here's what I like. Look at this depth chart.
Yeah.
Alexander Madison, Amir Abdullah, Dylan Laub, who I like, but let's be real. He's from New Hampshire. He's 24, and he's outside the Power 4. I mean, the depth chart screams Zamir White. Yeah. And this is where I think context matters. Antonio Pierce was a linebacker, Super Bowl champion with the Giants. Mm-hmm. He's going to run the football and protect his defense. It goes almost hand in hand. You have AO and Gardner Minshew. Well, how do you protect your quarterbacks? You run the football. Everything screams run the football. And did you see, Jason, the Raiders versus the Chiefs last year when the Raiders upset Kansas City late in the year? What did they physically? I think if anyone wants to know what Antonio Pierce, if he could take the blackboard, how do I want my season to design itself? Yeah. He's going to look at that Kansas City game. He's going to say, this is what I want every week all year long. Yeah. I want a dominant physical running game. I want to be able to control the ball, and I want to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. I mean, it's just screaming, Jason. Zamir White's going to get 250 carries if he remains healthy. I love him.
I mean, this is music to my ears, John. We are doing a Wake and Take Invitational League right now, and it's a 32-teamer. Yeah, it's a fun one. It's a very fun league. We're in our startup right now, and I was on the clock at the 218, and I just wanted to get myself a running back, and there were a few on the board. Aaron Jones, Jalen Wright, Ramondre Stevenson, Tyjae Spears, Jalen Warren, Javonte Williams, David Montgomery, Tony Pollard. And I looked at the board and I said, Zamir White. I looked at him and I think you're right. You bring up the Kansas City Chiefs game, 22 carries for 145 rush yards, no touchdowns, but I mean, that's not going to happen. I mean, 145 rush yards, right? And he had the 4 games to close the season, and all 4 games, he had at least 20 touches and had either 100 yards or a touchdown. And the one game he didn't have 100 yards was the very first game. And he had exactly 20 touches. So, and he had the touchdown. So it's like, it all worked out. 17.5, 14.5, 15.6, 13.1. And I'm actually a believer in Gardner Minshew. I think he can make this offense run a little bit better. Even if the ceiling isn't there, he's a very good distributor of the football and just a good game manager. So I think this offense, actually, we just published the article yesterday at Player Profiler. We chose an undervalued offense, and mine was the Raiders. I think they're all going to be pretty solid. Devontae Adams and Zamir White. And I think Dylan Laub, even if he, I don't think he'll take any carries. He should be, I think he could earn that receiving back role. Yeah. And that does really nothing. Like Zamir White will still be the bell cow with Dylan Laub catching some passes. And Zamir White even had a game last year with 5 receptions and 6 targets. So, I mean, I think it's an easy one staring us in the face. He's only 24. He's 6 foot. He's 214 pounds. He runs a 4.4 40-yard dash. And he went to UGA, which has the historical NFL production at the running back position. So I'm with you every step of the way there. Great call. Loved your takes. And loved the episode, John. Thank you so much for joining me. Why don't you go ahead and tell the audience where they can find you, some stuff you're working on?
Honestly, thanks for having me on, Jason. I love coming on with you. It's a blast. And everyone, go to Player Profiler right now. There are 3 Devy articles. It's under the fantasy column. So hit your fantasy button, then go to articles, and you can find the 3 articles that I spoke about earlier. And each article has a link to my Devy rankings, including the model. So you can see why I rank players. And you can disagree. That's perfectly fine. But you can see in my model, this is why I like that player over. Now, there's some intuitiveness. Like I know that a power 4 running back at over 200 is more valuable than a non-power 4 running back who's under 200. So the numbers might not look as good, but the reality says over a long period of time that matters. But check it out. There's wide receivers. There's tight ends. Oh, Jason, another tip before we go. If you need a tight end, you better get one now, because next year's draft class, Jason, right now, the cupboard is barren. Just going to tell you that right now. The Devy cupboard right now doesn't now. A player might arise. Right. That does happen. But right now, the tight end cupboard is barren in college football.
I love that. We've got 2 bits of knowledge going into next season, guys, that you need to remember. Lock it into your brains. If you need a running back, start trading for next year's first, because they're cheap right now. People are still trying to sell out for this year. Go ahead and start scooping those up, and probably acquire some of these younger tight ends if you want a young one. Kyle Pitts, Sam Laporta. Maybe go down and get some Ben Sinnott or Jelani Woods, but take a shot on a young tight end, as it sounds like that well is drying up, ladies and gentlemen. John, what an episode. Seriously, thank you so much for joining me. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Audience, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day and week. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us, me and John and Player Profiler, on social media. Have a terrific Thursday. Wonderful rest of your week. Peace.
Hey, I want to take a moment to it is NFL draft season, and the wait. Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.